The great hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with the voices of 100 different species. Light streamed in through tall crystal windows that showed the stars beyond. This was the place where the most powerful beings in the galaxy made their choices. Today, an important meeting was taking place. The council was going to decide if they should take resources from a small blue planet in a far corner of the galaxy. Gray stood waiting for his turn to speak. He was old, even by the standards of his long-lived species. His skin had the pale, almost translucent quality that came with great age, and his large eyes held the wisdom of centuries. When the council leader signaled, Gray moved to the center of the room. The voices quieted. Respected members of the council, Gray began, his voice soft but carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. I come before you today with a warning about the species you plan to visit on the third planet of the yellow star system. The council leader, a tall being with 6 limbs and scales that shimmered in different colors, looked down at Gray. The reports say these humans have only basic space travel. They have not yet reached beyond their own moon. What could possibly concern you? Gray took a small device from his pocket and placed it on the floor. A 3-dimensional image of Earth appeared, floating in the air for all to see. It is true that humans are young. Their technology is simple compared to ours, but there is something about them that you must understand. Gray waved his hand, and the image changed to show humans throughout their history. Humans are different from every species we have encountered before. They have a quality that makes them truly dangerous. Gray paused, looking around the room. They never give up. A ripple of laughter passed through the council. All species fight to survive, said a member with blue fur and sharp teeth. This is nothing new. Gray shook his head. It goes far beyond simple survival. Let me show you. He changed the image again. Now it showed a human hunter following animal tracks through snow. Day turned to night, and back to day as the human continued, never stopping for long. This is not unusual, said Gray. Many hunters are patient. But look at this. The image shifted to show humans searching for criminals. These humans hunted a wrongdoer for 60 years. The original hunters died. Their children continued the hunt. The council grew quiet. Humans have a concept they call justice. When they believe they have been wronged, they will pursue those responsible across any distance and through any amount of time. Gray changed the image again, showing human wars and peace treaties. Most species fight until it becomes too costly. Then they make peace. Humans will sometimes fight until they win or until they are completely destroyed. The council leader frowned. Are you suggesting these primitives would be a match for our forces? Not now, perhaps not for centuries, Gray replied. But if you attack them, if you kill their people and take their resources without permission, they will never stop hunting you. They will pass down their anger from parent to child. They will improve their technology with a single purpose, to find you. A member with metalled skin and glowing eyes spoke next. We have encountered stubborn species before. They learn quickly enough that resistance is pointless. You miss my point, Gray said. Other species are logical. When faced with a superior force, they make the sensible choice to surrender or negotiate. Humans often do not. They have a saying, revenge is a dish best served cold. It means they are willing to wait generations to settle what they call a score. Gray changed the image one last time. Now it showed a human ship, crude by council standards, but clearly designed for space travel. They are advancing quickly. In just 100 years, they went from simple flying machines to walking on their moon. Their rate of technological development is among the fastest we have ever observed. All the more reason to establish control now, while we still can, said the blue-furred member. Gray sighed. I have studied thousands of species across my long life. I have never advised the council to avoid contact with any of them, until now. If you attack the humans, they will mark you. All of you. They will learn your names, your home worlds, and they will come for you. The council leader seemed troubled for a moment. Then he straightened. We appreciate your concern, Gray, but the decision has already been made. The resource extraction mission will proceed as planned. You need those resources that badly? Gray asked. The new expansion requires it, said the metal skin member. We have markets to satisfy, colonies to support. Then at least approach them peacefully, Gray pleaded. Offer trade, share technology. They could become valuable allies. Negotiation takes too long, said the council leader. We need those resources now, not after years of diplomatic talks. He raised his hand. The council has voted. Commander Blue will leave the extraction mission. They depart tomorrow. Gray closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, he looked at each council member in turn. Remember my words. If you take from the humans by force, they will never forget. They will never forgive. They will hunt you forever. Your concern is noted, said the council leader. This meeting is adjourned. As the council members filed out, Gray remained in the center of the room. He felt the weight of what was to come. The council had made many mistakes in its long history, but this, he feared, might be its worst. One young council aide approached him. Do you really believe these humans are so dangerous? They're so small, and their ships are so primitive. Gray looked down at the aide. Size and technology are not everything. The humans have a saying. It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. The council is about to kick a very small dog with a very big spirit, and they will regret it for generations to come. As Gray left the council chamber, he wondered if he should try to warn the humans, but such interference was forbidden by council law. All he could do now was watch and wait for the storm that would surely follow. The next day, a fleet of council ships left the Central Worlds, heading for the small blue planet that the locals called Earth. At their head was Commander Blue, confident in his mission and in the power of his ships. He had no idea that he was about to change the course of galactic history forever, or that his name would one day be whispered with fear across 1,000 worlds. The warning had been given. The warning had been ignored. Captain Tom Reed was enjoying his morning coffee when the alarm sounded across Titan Base. He jumped up from his chair, spilling the hot liquid across his desk and the reports he had been reading. What's going on? He asked as he rushed into the control room. The screen showed unusual activity near the orbit of Neptune. Lisa, his second-in-command, pointed to the main display. Sir, we're picking up objects moving at incredible speeds. They're slowing down as they approach Neptune. They're not ours. Tom stared at the screen. After decades of searching the stars for signs of intelligent life, it seemed that intelligent life had found them first. How many? He asked quietly. At least 20 large vessels, sir, and dozens of smaller ones. Tom took a deep breath. This was the moment humanity had prepared for, yet never truly expected. Send the first contact package. All frequencies, all formats. The first contact package was humanity's introduction to the stars. A collection of images, mathematics, music, and basic language primers designed to demonstrate peaceful intentions and intelligence. Package sent, sir, Lisa reported. No response yet. For 3 tense days, the alien fleet remained near Neptune. Earth governments called emergency meetings. Military forces went on high alert, and through it all, Titan Base continued sending the first contact package every 6 hours. On the 4th day, the alien fleet began to move again, toward Earth. They're heading straight for Ganymede mining station, Lisa said, her voice tight with worry. Ganymede, Jupiter's largest moon, housed humanity's biggest off-Earth mining operation. 2,000 people lived and worked there. Tom made a quick decision. Prepare my ship. I'm going to meet them halfway. Sir, that's not protocol. We need to establish face-to-face contact before they reach our major installations, Tom insisted. If their intentions are hostile, we need to know now. 6 hours later, Tom's diplomatic vessel, the Handshake, was on an intercept course with the alien fleet. 5 other ships from Earth's small space force, accompanied him as escort. "Continuing to broadcast first contact package on all channels," reported Will, the communications officer. Still no response. Tom watched through the viewport as the alien ships grew larger. They were beautiful in a strange way, smooth, curved vessels that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. "They're slowing," Lisa said. "I think they've noticed us." Suddenly, a new sound filled the bridge, a series of clicks and whistles unlike anything Tom had ever heard. "They're responding," Will exclaimed, adjusting his equipment. "The computer is trying to translate, but it will take time." The alien message repeated several times. Then, to everyone's shock, it was followed by words in English. "Attention Earth vessels. This is Commander Blue of the Galactic Council Resource Acquisition Fleet. Your presence is acknowledged. Stand aside." The bridge crew looked at each other in amazement. "They speak English," Lisa whispered. "Translation technology," Tom guessed, "must be far beyond ours." He leaned forward. "Will, open a channel." When Will nodded, Tom spoke clearly. "Commander Blue, this is Captain Tom Reed of Earth. We welcome you to our solar system and wish to establish peaceful relations. We request a meeting to discuss your intentions." There was a long pause before the reply came. "Captain Reed, your solar system contains resources claimed by the Galactic Council. We are here to extract these resources. Your cooperation is appreciated, but not required." Tom felt a chill run down his spine. "Commander Blue, these resources belong to the people of Earth. We are willing to discuss trade agreements that would benefit both our peoples." "Trade is inefficient," came the cold reply. "We have our orders. Your outposts on Ganymede, Titan, and Europa will be evacuated immediately. You have 6 Earth hours to comply." Tom's mind raced. "Commander, please. We need more time. At least allow us to discuss this with our world leaders." 6 hours, Blue repeated. "Then we begin operations regardless of your status." The communication ended abruptly. Tom turned to his crew. "Send everything to Earth Command. Tell them we need instructions immediately." For the next 5 hours, frantic messages flew between Earth, the space stations, and Tom's ship. World leaders argued about how to respond. Military commanders demanded permission to ready their weapons. Scientists pleaded for more time to understand the aliens' technology. With 1 hour remaining, Earth Command finally sent their decision. "Do not yield. Attempt further negotiation. All stations are being reinforced." Tom didn't like it. The reinforcements wouldn't arrive in time, and Earth's weapons would be useless against the alien technology he had observed. He opened the channel again. "Commander Blue, our people request additional time for discussion. Surely the Galactic Council values diplomatic relations. We can find a solution that works for everyone." Blue's response was immediate. "Your time is up, Captain Reed. We detect your military vessels approaching. This is considered a hostile action." "They're not hostile," Tom protested. "They're just." A bright flash lit up the viewport. On the screens, Tom watched in horror as one of the small science stations near Jupiter exploded. "No," he shouted. "Commander Blue, stop. There were people on that station." "Your warning has been delivered," Blue replied coldly. "Clear the area or face similar consequences." Tom's hands clenched into fists. Those were innocent civilians, scientists. "They were in a restricted resource area," Blue said. "The Galactic Council has claimed this system. Further interference will result in additional enforcement." Before Tom could respond, alarms blared across his ship. "Multiple energy signatures," Lisa shouted. "They're targeting Ganymede mining station." "Warn them," Tom ordered. "Tell them to evacuate now." But it was too late. The alien weapons fired again. Strange beams of light that seemed to fold space itself. The mining station, home to 2,000 men and women, vanished in a silent flash. Tom stared at the empty space where the station had been. His whole body felt numb. "Get us out of here," he whispered. "Back to Earth." Now, as the handshake turned and accelerated away, a final message came from Commander Blue. The resource extraction will continue as planned. Further resistance will be met with appropriate force. This communication is now ended. Tom looked at his crew. He saw the same emotions on their faces that burned in his heart: shock, grief, and a growing anger. "They'll pay for this," Lisa said, her voice shaking. Tom nodded slowly. "Yes, they will." He turned to Will. "Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them war has begun." As the handshake raced home, behind them the alien fleet spread throughout the outer solar system, unaware that they had just made the most dangerous enemy in the galaxy. 6 months had passed since the aliens attacked. 6 months of grief, rage, and desperate preparation. Earth had changed forever on that terrible day when thousands of lives were lost in the outer solar system. Admiral Jane Foster stood on the bridge of the Retribution, Earth's newest and largest warship. It wasn't much compared to the alien vessels, but it was the best humanity could build in such a short time. "Status report," Jane ordered, her voice steady despite the tension that filled the ship. "All systems ready." "Admiral," replied her second-in-command, Officer Mike. "The fleet is in position and awaiting your command." Jane nodded and looked at the main screen. It showed 12 Earth ships hiding in the shadow of Jupiter's moon Callisto. It wasn't much of a fleet: 3 military vessels and 9 retrofitted cargo ships. But it was all that stood between Earth and the alien invaders. "And our secret weapon?" she asked quietly. Mike handed her a tablet. "The science team reports it's ready. They've reverse-engineered enough of the alien technology from the debris we collected. It's not perfect, but Dr. Wilson says it should work." Jane studied the report. After the initial attack, Earth had sent teams to collect any alien technology they could find. Working day and night, the best scientists on the planet had managed to understand some of the basic principles of the alien weapons and shields. "It will have to be enough," Jane said, handing back the tablet. "What's the status of the alien fleet?" "Commander Blue's flagship remains in orbit around Saturn. They've established mining operations on 3 moons. The rest of their fleet is spread throughout the system." Jane's eyes narrowed. "They think we're beaten. They think we've given up." She straightened her uniform. "It's time to show them how wrong they are. Send the signal." Mike nodded and pressed a button on his console. "All ships acknowledge. Operation Payback is a go." Jane took a deep breath. "Begin countdown." Far away, in the magnificent halls of the Galactic Council, Commander Blue's report was being received with satisfaction. "The primitive species has been subdued," Blue's hologram stated to the assembled council members. "They offered minimal resistance after we demonstrated our power. Mining operations are proceeding ahead of schedule." The council leader nodded approvingly. "Excellent work, Commander. Any further issues with the locals?" "None," Blue replied confidently. "They've retreated to their home planet. Their technology is too primitive to pose any threat. I expect to complete the extraction within 1 standard year." Gray, who sat at the back of the chamber, shook his head sadly but remained silent. He had warned them, but they had not listened. Now it was too late. "Very well," said the council leader. "Continue your—" An aide rushed into the chamber and whispered urgently to the council leader, whose scales changed color in alarm. "Commander Blue," the leader said sharply, "we're receiving reports of an attack on your fleet. Please verify." Blue's hologram flickered with surprise. "Impossible. The humans have no weapons that cold." The hologram suddenly disappeared. Back at Saturn, Blue stood on his flagship's bridge in shock. Alarms blared as 3 of his ships reported being under attack. "How is this happening?" he demanded. "Their weapons couldn't even dent our shields 6 months ago." His tactical officer looked up from the console with fear in his multiple eyes. "They're using our own technology against us, Commander. Somehow they've adapted our shield frequencies and weapon signatures." Blue couldn't believe it. "That's impossible." No species could reverse engineer our technology so quickly. The mining station on Titan is under heavy attack, another officer reported. They're requesting immediate assistance. Blue straightened his posture. Launch all fighters. Target the human vessels and destroy them. This ends now. As Blue's fighters streamed out of his flagship, he didn't notice the small human ship that had drifted close, using the debris field from earlier battles as cover. On board that ship, the Phantom, Commander Jack Smith checked his team one last time. Remember the plan. He told the 12 men and women in tactical gear. We get in, plant the devices, and get out. 20 minutes max. They all nodded. Each of them had lost friends or family in the initial alien attack. This mission was personal. Docking in 30 seconds. The pilot announced. They haven't detected us yet. Jack checked his weapon. A combination of Earth technology and alien components. It felt strange in his hands, but the test results had been promising. For Earth, he said simply. For Earth, his team echoed. The Phantom silently attached itself to the hull of Blue's flagship, its special coating making it invisible to the alien sensors. Jack's team cut through the hull and slipped inside, their suits protecting them from decompression. Inside the alien ship, they moved quickly through the strange corridors. The few aliens they encountered were quickly stunned with the modified weapons. Plant the devices at these junctions, Jack ordered, pointing to a rough map they had created from scans. Teams of 2. Set timers for 15 minutes. As the teams split up, Jack and his partner headed for the bridge. They needed to confirm Blue's location before they left. Meanwhile, the space battle raged around Saturn. Jane's fleet was taking heavy damage, but they were also inflicting serious harm on the alien ships. Their shields are adapting, Mike reported. Our weapons are becoming less effective. Jane nodded grimly. As expected, have all ships start rotation beta, and give me a status on Team Phantom. They've boarded the flagship. No communication as planned. Jane checked the time. 5 more minutes, then we begin withdrawal. All ships need to be at safe distance in 12 minutes. On the alien flagship, Jack placed the last device near what they believed was the main engine control. He checked the timer. 7 minutes remaining. Let's get to the extraction point, he told his partner. As they turned to leave, a door slid open, and Commander Blue himself stepped through, flanked by guards. For a moment, both groups stared at each other in surprise. Then Blue raised a weapon. Humans, he hissed in his translated voice. How dare you board my ship? Jack didn't hesitate. He fired his modified weapon. And to Blue's shock, the energy blast went straight through his personal shield. Blue dove aside, but his guards were hit and fell. Run, Jack shouted to his partner, who took off down the corridor. Jack fired again, forcing Blue to take cover. Their eyes met across the room, human and alien. And Jack saw something new in the commander's gaze. Fear. You were warned, Jack said coldly. You should not have attacked us. Then he turned and ran, following his team back to the extraction point. Behind him, Blue rose and shouted orders to his crew, unaware of the devices counting down throughout his ship. Back on the Retribution, Jane watched the battle with growing tension. All teams report extraction complete, Mike announced finally. Phantom is away from the flagship. Signal the withdrawal, Jane ordered. Full speed to the rendezvous point. As Earth's fleet pulled back from Saturn, the alien ships pursued, exactly as planned. None of them noticed the small devices that had been planted not just on Blue's flagship, but on several other key vessels during the chaos of battle. From the safety of Callisto's shadow, Jane watched the countdown reach 0. Multiple explosions bloomed silently across Blue's fleet. The flagship itself didn't explode completely. They had wanted Blue to survive. But its engines and weapons went dark. Several other ships broke apart entirely. Direct hit, Mike reported, unable to keep the satisfaction from his voice. Flagship is disabled but intact. 5 enemy vessels destroyed. The rest are in disarray. Jane nodded slowly. Send the message. A tight beam transmission shot from the Retribution directly to Blue's crippled flagship. It contained only a few words. This is just the beginning. We are coming for you. As Jane's fleet disappeared into the depths of space, Blue stared at the message on his damaged bridge. For the first time in his long career, he felt something he had never expected to feel when dealing with a primitive species: dread. Send a message to the Council. He ordered his remaining officers. Request immediate reinforcements. One of his officers looked up nervously. Sir, the humans. They're leaving the system. What? Blue couldn't believe it. Where are they going? The officer checked the readings again. Based on their trajectory, they appear to be heading toward Galactic Council space. Blue felt a cold realization wash over him. The humans weren't just defending their system. They were taking the fight to the Council itself. And somehow, deep inside, he knew that Gray had been right all along. 5 years had passed since the Battle of Saturn. 5 years since humanity had stunned the Galactic Council by not only fighting back, but taking the war to their doorstep. General Jack Smith stood on the bridge of the Nemesis, Earth's most advanced warship. Once a simple commander, Jack now led humanity's vengeance fleet. His face had changed over the years. A long scar ran down his left cheek, and his eyes held the hardness that came from years of war. Any sign of him? Jack asked, staring at the star map that filled the main screen. His second-in-command, Officer Ben, shook his head. Not yet, sir. But we've narrowed the search to this sector. Blue can't hide forever. Jack nodded slowly. The hunt for Commander Blue had become Earth's highest priority. After the attack on Saturn, Blue had escaped in a small vessel while his fleet was destroyed. For 5 years, he had been running from system to system, always one step ahead of the human ships that pursued him. What about the Council representatives? Jack asked. Still waiting for your response to their latest peace offer, Ben replied. This is the 5th proposal they've sent in 3 months. Jack's mouth tightened. They know our terms. We want Blue and the Council members who ordered the attack on our system. Nothing less. The Galactic Council had not expected the humans to advance so quickly. Using the alien technology they had captured, Earth's scientists had made incredible breakthroughs. Humans now had ships that could travel between stars, weapons that could match the Council's, and a burning determination that no other species could understand. Sir, called out the communications officer, we're receiving a message from the tracker. They found something. Jack straightened. Put it through. The screen changed to show Captain Mary, commander of the scout ship tracker. General, we've detected an energy signature matching Blue's ship. He's on a small trading outpost in the Proxima system. Jack felt his heart beat faster. After years of searching, they might finally have found their target. How certain are you? 90%, sir. We've been monitoring for 3 days without being detected. He's there. Jack turned to Ben. Prepare the strike team. I'll lead this one myself. Sir, Ben protested, the Council has probably set a trap. Blue is too valuable to them. That's exactly why I need to go, Jack replied. I know Blue better than anyone. I've been chasing him for 5 years. As the Nemesis changed course for the Proxima system, Jack went to his quarters to prepare. On his wall hung a picture of the Ganymede mining station and its 2,000 crew members, all lost in the first alien attack. Jack looked at it every day to remind himself why he fought. His computer chimed with an incoming call. Jack accepted it, and the face of Admiral Jane Foster appeared on the screen. Jack, she said, I hear you found him. Jack nodded. Finally, we're heading to Proxima now. Jane's face showed concern. The Council is getting desperate. They've sent envoys to Earth again, offering significant technology exchanges and reparations if we'll end the hunt. But not Blue, Jack said. They still won't give us Blue. No, Jane agreed. They claim they can't find him. But our intelligence suggests they've been helping him hide. She paused. "Are you sure you need to lead this mission yourself?" "I'm sure," Jack said firmly. "This ends with me facing him." Jane studied him for a moment. "The Vengeance Directive was never meant to consume us, Jack. Remember that. The Vengeance Directive had been established by Earth's United Governments 2 years after the attack. It stated simply, those responsible for the unprovoked attack on humanity will be brought to justice, no matter how long it takes or how far we must go. I haven't forgotten why we fight," Jack replied. "Blue must answer for what he did." 2 days later, the Nemesis arrived at the edge of the Proxima system. The trading outpost was small, a collection of habitats and docks orbiting a lifeless moon. "Scan the outpost," Jack ordered as he checked his tactical gear. "I want to know exactly where he is before we move in." The 12 members of Jack's strike team were the best Earth had to offer. They had trained together for years, specifically for the mission of capturing Blue. "We have confirmation," Ben reported. "Blue is in Habitat 4. He's registered under a false name, but facial recognition is positive." Jack nodded. "Let's move. Quick and quiet." The strike team's ship approached the outpost under stealth. Years of studying alien technology had given humans advantages that even the Council didn't know about. They docked at a little-used airlock and entered the station without triggering any alarms. Moving through the corridors in pairs, they made their way toward Habitat 4. Jack led the way, his modified pulse rifle ready. The trading outpost was filled with beings from dozens of different species, many of whom had never seen humans before. They stared as the strike team passed, but no one interfered. "He's in the 3rd chamber on the left," Ben whispered, checking his scanner. "Single life form, matches his species." Jack signaled the team to take positions around the chamber. "Remember, we need him alive." With a nod to Ben, Jack triggered the door. It slid open, and he rushed inside, weapon raised. The chamber was simple: a sleeping area, a food preparation unit, and a comm station. And there, standing by the window, was Commander Blue. He looked different than Jack remembered. His once proud uniform was gone, replaced by plain clothing. But his eyes were the same, cold and calculating. "Commander Blue," Jack said, his voice hard. "By the authority of Earth and the Vengeance Directive, you are under arrest for crimes against humanity." Blue didn't seem surprised. He almost looked relieved. "Jack Smith," he said in his translated voice. "I wondered which human would finally catch me." "You remember me," Jack said. "I remember all of you," Blue replied. 5 years of running. 5 years of looking over my shoulder. Your people are persistent." "We warned you," Jack said. "You were told not to attack us, that we would hunt you forever." Blue made a gesture that might have been a shrug. "The Council didn't believe the warning. They thought you were just another primitive species that would accept defeat." He looked out at the stars. "They understand now." Jack kept his weapon steady. "You're coming with us to Earth to face justice for the deaths of thousands of innocent people." Blue turned back to Jack. "The Council is in chaos because of you humans. Multiple species have broken away, fearing your vengeance might extend to them. Trade routes have collapsed. Defensive pacts are being formed." "Not our problem," Jack replied coldly. "You started this war." "And I wish I hadn't," Blue said quietly. "Believe it or not, I've had 5 years to regret my actions. The Council ordered me to extract resources quickly and efficiently. I followed orders." Jack felt his finger tighten on the trigger. "Those were people, not resources." "I know that now," Blue said. "But will my capture end this? Will humanity be satisfied with just me, or will you continue hunting the Council members who gave the orders?" Before Jack could answer, his comm unit chimed with an urgent alert. "General," came Ben's voice, "we have multiple Council ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. At least 5 heavy cruisers. They'll reach the outpost in minutes." Jack kept his eyes on Blue. "Prepare for emergency extraction." "It seems," Blue said, that the Council still considers me worth protecting. Jack stepped forward and placed restraints on Blue's limbs. It won't help them. We've gotten very good at escaping Council traps. As Jack led Blue from the chamber, the alien commander looked at him with genuine curiosity. How long would you have hunted me if I had not been found today? Jack's answer was simple. Forever. Back on the Nemesis, alarms sounded as the Council ships approached. Evasive pattern Delta, Jack ordered as he brought Blue to the bridge. Prepare for jump as soon as we clear the gravity well. The crew worked with practiced efficiency. They had escaped Council forces many times before. As the Nemesis accelerated away from the outpost, Blue watched the human crew with new understanding. He had never believed Gray's warning all those years ago. Now, seeing these humans in action, he finally understood what the Old One had meant. They would never have stopped. They would have hunted him until the end of time. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was silent as the human delegation entered. Admiral Jane Foster led the way, her uniform crisp and decorated with the symbols of Earth's united forces. Behind her walked General Jack Smith, his face set in stone. And behind him, in restraints, came Commander Blue. The Council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Many had never expected to see humans in this chamber, let alone as a force to be reckoned with, and none had expected to see Commander Blue as a prisoner. The Council leader rose from his seat. His scales no longer shimmered with confidence as they had years ago. Admiral Foster, General Smith, he said formally. The Galactic Council recognizes the delegation from Earth. Jane stepped forward. We come to present our terms for peace. A murmur ran through the assembled representatives. For 7 years, humanity had waged a relentless campaign across the stars. They had destroyed Council mining operations, disrupted trade routes, and hunted down those responsible for the attack on their system. The Council had underestimated them at every turn. We are prepared to hear your terms, the Council leader said. His voice betrayed his weariness. First, Jane said clearly, Commander Blue will face justice for his actions against Earth. His trial will be conducted on our planet, under our laws. Blue looked down at the floor but did not speak. The fight had gone out of him during his long captivity aboard the Nemesis. Second, Jane continued, the Council members who ordered the attack on our system will step down from their positions and never again hold power in this body. Several Council members rose in protest, but the leader silenced them with a gesture. Third, Jane said, the Galactic Council will formally recognize Earth's sovereignty and right to all resources within our solar system. And if we agree to these terms, the leader asked, what assurances do we have that humanity will end its campaign against us? Jack stepped forward. The vengeance directive will be satisfied. Earth will stand down its forces. We did not want this war. We only wanted justice. From the back of the hall, a familiar figure emerged. Gray, the elder who had warned the Council years ago. He walked slowly to stand between the human delegation and the Council leader. I warned you, he said softly to the leader. I told you what would happen if you attacked the humans. He turned to Jane and Jack. And I wish to apologize to Earth for not doing more to prevent this tragedy. Jane looked at the old alien with surprise. You were the one who warned them about us. Gray nodded. I have studied thousands of species across my long life. Humans are unique in their determination. I knew what would happen if you were attacked without cause. He looked back at the Council. And now we have all learned this lesson at great cost. The Council leader sighed. We will need time to discuss these terms. You have one Earth day, Jack said firmly. Our fleet remains at the edge of this system, ready to enforce our demands if necessary. As the humans were escorted to waiting quarters, the Council chamber erupted in debate. Some members argued for continuing the fight, believing that eventually humans would tire of war. Others pointed out that 7 years had not diminished their resolve in the slightest. In a small meeting room away from the main chamber, Gray spoke with Jane and Jack. You have changed the galaxy, Gray told them. No species has ever challenged the Council this way. and succeeded. "We didn't want to change the galaxy," Jane replied. "We just wanted to be left in peace." Gray nodded. "I understand. But what will Earth do now? Will you join the galactic community, or will you isolate yourselves?" Jack looked at Jane. They had discussed this question many times during the long years of conflict. "We will join," Jane said finally. "But on our terms, as equals, not as subjects." 24 hours later, the council reconvened. The leader stood to address the human delegation. After much deliberation, he announced, "The Galactic Council accepts your terms." His scales had dulled to a flat gray color, the sign of defeat in his species. Commander Blue will be remanded to Earth custody. The council members who ordered the attack have resigned their positions, and we formally recognize Earth's sovereignty. Jane nodded. "Then the war is over." As Blue was led away, he paused beside Jack. "I never understood," he said quietly. "I never understood why you wouldn't stop hunting me." "Because we promised we wouldn't," Jack replied simply. "Humans keep their promises, both good and bad." 1 month later, Earth celebrated the end of the 7-year conflict. The vengeance directive was officially fulfilled. Blue had been tried and sentenced to help rebuild what he had destroyed. The former council members had been stripped of power, and humanity had taken its place among the stars. In a quiet ceremony at the newly established Earth Embassy on the Council world, Jane and Gray signed the Never Again Protocol, a new set of laws that would govern relations between all species. This document ensures that no species may attack another without provocation, Gray explained to the assembled diplomats. It establishes rights for all intelligent beings, regardless of their technological development. Jane added, "And it creates a new peacekeeping force with representatives from all member worlds to enforce these protections." As the ceremony concluded, a young council aide approached Jack. "Is it true?" he asked. "Would your people really have hunted Commander Blue forever?" Jack looked at the aide for a long moment. "Yes," he said finally. "That's who we are. We don't forget. We don't give up. But we also forgive once justice is served." He gestured to where Blue was working with a team of human and alien engineers. "He's paying for his crimes by helping to build something better." The aide seemed troubled. "My species would have eventually accepted defeat. We would have calculated the cost and surrendered." "That's the difference," Jack said. "For humans, some things are beyond calculation. Some promises must be kept, no matter the cost." Later that evening, Jane stood with Gray on a balcony overlooking the council city. The lights of 1,000 different species twinkled below them. "What happens now?" Jane asked. Gray smiled. "Now we learn from each other. The galaxy has changed, and I believe it's for the better. The council needed to be challenged. It had grown too comfortable with its power." "And what about humans?" Jane asked. "Will we find our place here?" "You already have," Gray replied. "Just yesterday, I heard an interesting story. A small world on the rim was being threatened by pirates. Do you know what the local governor said when asked what they would do?" Jane shook her head. "He said, 'Send for the humans. Not for the council forces, not for their own defense fleet. For the humans.'" Gray looked at her with his ancient eyes. "Your reputation precedes you now. The species that would not stop, would not surrender, would not forget. But also the species that kept its word." As a new day dawned on the council world, ships from Earth arrived carrying scientists, diplomats, artists, and explorers, all eager to learn and share with the galactic community. The war was over, the hunt was done, and humanity had proven that Gray's warning had been right all along. Do not attack the humans. They will hunt you forever. But they had also shown something else, that once justice was served, they could build peace that would last just as long. The stars looked cold and distant from the bridge of the Pathfinder. Captain James Walker stared at them, wondering how many now belonged to the enemy. 6 months into the war with the Vorn Empire, and humanity was losing badly. Every week brought news of another human colony falling. "Captain, "We're approaching the coordinates," said Lieutenant Tom Reed from his station. The young engineer looked tired, dark circles under his eyes after 3 days of non-stop travel. Walker nodded. "Take us in slow. Full sensor sweep." This mission was humanity's last hope, a desperate search for anything that might help them fight back against the technologically superior Vorn. The small scout ship Pathfinder carried only 4 crew members, each chosen for their unique skills. "I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the third planet," said Dr. Anna Miller, looking up from her scanner. Her eyes showed the same hardness they always did when working. The Vorn had destroyed her hometown in the first wave of attacks. It's faint but doesn't match any known signature. Not ours, not Vorn. Security Chief Marcus Jones moved to look over her shoulder. His large frame cast a shadow across her station. "Could be a trap," he said. Marcus always expected the worst, a habit that had kept him alive through 3 major battles. "Maybe," Walker agreed, "but we're out of options. Tom, take us closer, but be ready to jump out fast if needed." The Pathfinder moved silently through the empty star system. Scans showed no signs of life, no active technology, just the strange energy signal coming from what looked like a small moon orbiting the third planet. As they got closer, Miller gasped, "Captain, that's not a moon. It's a ship." The view screen zoomed in, revealing a massive vessel half buried in the moon's surface. Its design was unlike anything human or Vorn. Smooth curves instead of angles, no visible weapons or engines. It simply existed, impossible and perfect. "It's huge," Tom whispered. "Must be at least 2 kilometers long." "How old?" Walker asked. Miller checked her readings. "The dust patterns suggest it's been here for. This can't be right." She ran the calculations again. "Sir, if these readings are correct, this ship has been here for over 100,000 years." "Impossible," Marcus said. "Look at it, not a scratch. Nothing survives that long in space without damage." Walker made his decision. "Suit up. We're going to take a closer look." The 4 of them floated across the gap between their ship and the mysterious vessel. Up close, the hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. No markings, no seams, just smooth material that didn't match any known element. "How do we get in?" Marcus asked, his hand resting on his weapon. As if answering his question, a section of the hull simply changed. One moment solid, the next moment an opening, with no visible door or mechanism. "It's responding to our presence," Miller said, her voice full of wonder. "Or it's a trap," Marcus reminded them. Walker took the lead. "Stay alert. Tom, keep track of our position. I don't want to get lost in there." The inside of the ship was even stranger than the outside. Corridors that seemed to shift and change as they walked. Rooms that appeared larger inside than they should be. Everything was lit by a soft blue glow that came from nowhere and everywhere. "This technology," Tom said, running his scanner over a wall. "It's not just advanced. It's operating on principles we don't even understand yet." Miller stopped suddenly in front of what looked like a control room. "Captain, you need to see this." The room was circular, with a single chair in the center. Around it, displays hung in midair without any visible projectors. The images showed star charts, diagrams, and symbols none of them recognized. "Can you understand any of it?" Walker asked. Miller shook her head. "The math behind it looks familiar in places, but advanced beyond our current understanding. It's like seeing calculus when you only know basic arithmetic." Walker approached the central chair cautiously. As he got closer, the displays changed, showing new information. The ship was responding to him specifically. "Sir, maybe you shouldn't," Marcus began. Too late. Walker's curiosity got the better of him. He touched the chair, and the entire ship came alive around them. Lights brightened, hidden systems hummed to life, and the displays filled with new information. "It's powering up," Tom shouted, checking his scanner. "Energy readings are off the charts." Walker couldn't move. The moment his hand touched the chair, something connected with his mind. Not painful, but overwhelming, like a flood of information pouring directly into his brain. He saw flashes of battles in space, massive fleets firing weapons that bent reality itself. He saw the ship, this ship, moving through enemy formations, unstoppable and feared. And he saw faces, not human, not Vorn, but something else. The builders, the previous owners. James. Miller was shaking him. He blinked, reality returning. How long had he been standing there? Seconds? Minutes? "I'm okay," he said, though his voice sounded strange even to himself. "But we need to contact Admiral Wilson immediately. Tell him we found it." "Found what?" Marcus asked. Walker looked around the now active ship, understanding flooding through him from the connection still buzzing in his mind. "The Nemesis," he said, the name coming to him from somewhere deep in the ship's memory. "A warship built to fight the ancestors of the Vorn. And it just woke up." Miller looked at her scanner, her eyes wide. "Captain, the ship is changing its internal structure. It's adapting to human physiology." "Can we control it?" Tom asked. "Fly it back to base." Walker nodded slowly, newfound knowledge settling into place in his mind. "Not we. Me. It's chosen me as its pilot." He looked at his hand, which now showed faint blue lines under the skin where he had touched the chair. "And I think it's changing me too." "Sir, this is too dangerous," Marcus warned. "We need to get back to the Pathfinder and call for backup." Walker shook his head. "No time. The connection, it's showing me things. The Vorn are planning something big. An attack on Titan Base, our last major stronghold." "How could you possibly know that?" Miller asked. "Because this ship doesn't just travel through space," Walker said, moving toward the chair again. "It can see patterns in time, probabilities, futures." He sat down, and the chair molded around him like a living thing. "Captain," Marcus shouted. But Walker was already bonding with the ship, his mind expanding as the Nemesis accepted him. The ancient vessel that had waited 100,000 years for a new pilot had found one at last. Through the growing connection, Walker spoke words that weren't entirely his own. "Humanity now has a fighting chance." Outside, on the surface of the small moon, the massive ship began to rise, shedding centuries of dust as it prepared for war once again. The massive ship moved through space with impossible grace. Inside the control room, Captain James Walker sat in the pilot's chair, his eyes closed as information flowed directly into his mind. "This is incredible," Dr. Miller said, watching displays appear and disappear around them. "The ship is reconfiguring its internal systems to match human biology." Tom Reed moved from panel to panel, trying to understand the technology. "It's like nothing I've ever seen. No visible engines, yet we're moving faster than our fastest ships." "I don't trust it," Marcus Jones said, his hand never far from his weapon. "Nothing's this perfect without a cost." Walker opened his eyes. They glowed slightly blue, matching the ship's interior lighting. "The ship, the Nemesis, is taking us to Titan. It knows the Vorn are planning an attack." "How?" Miller asked. "How could it possibly know that?" "It sees patterns," Walker explained, his voice distant. "Tracks movements across space. The Vorn fleet is gathering. We have 3 days at most." Marcus shook his head. "Sir, with all due respect, this thing is messing with your head. We need to get back to our own ship and report to command through proper channels." "No time," Walker said. "The Pathfinder is too slow. Nemesis has already brought it aboard in a holding bay. We go directly to Titan." The others exchanged worried glances. Their captain was different now, more distant, but also more certain. "James," Miller said gently, using his first name. "What's happening to you?" Walker looked at his hands. Blue lines had spread further under his skin, creating patterns like circuits. "The ship is connecting with me, sharing knowledge. The race that built this, They called themselves the predecessors. They fought the ancestors of the Vorn thousands of years ago. And won? Tom asked. Yes, Walker nodded. But the cost was high. This ship, it's one of 7 super warships they created. The last resort. Marcus stepped closer to the captain's chair. Sir, if what you're saying is true, we need to get this ship to Earth military now. This could change everything. Walker nodded slowly. That's where we're going. Titan base first, to stop the immediate attack. Then Earth. Admiral Wilson didn't believe the initial reports. A giant alien ship approaching Titan base. Impossible. But when the Nemesis appeared in orbit, visible to everyone on the base, he had no choice. Captain Walker, Wilson said, meeting them in a secure room after they landed in a shuttle. You look different. Walker's skin now had visible blue lines running across it, and his eyes had a permanent blue glow. The ship has changed me, sir. We bonded. Wilson looked uncomfortable. Our scientists need to examine this vessel immediately. If what you say is true about an incoming Vorn attack. It is, Walker interrupted. 2 days from now. Their main fleet. Wilson turned to the other crew members. And the rest of you. Are you changed too? Miller shook her head. No, Admiral. The ship only bonded with Captain Walker. But we've seen what it can do. It's real. Wilson made his decision. I'm assigning our top research team to study this ship. Professor Robert Green will lead the technical analysis. Commander Lisa Ford will assess its weapons capabilities. Walker nodded. There's one more person you should add to the team. An engineer named Dave Smith. Wilson frowned. Smith? He's just a junior maintenance tech. Trust me, Walker said. The ship has shown me. He'll understand the systems in ways others won't. Dave Smith couldn't believe he'd been called to join the research team. One day he was fixing coolant systems. The next he was walking through an alien ship with the most important scientists on the base. This is amazing, he whispered, running his hand along a wall. To everyone's surprise, the wall responded, showing internal systems that had remained hidden from others. Professor Green stared in shock. How did you do that? Smith shook his head. I don't know. It just made sense to me. Like the ship wants to be understood. Walker watched from nearby, nodding as if confirming something he already knew. The ship had chosen correctly. Commander Ford was examining what appeared to be weapon systems. These aren't like anything we've seen before. They don't fire energy or projectiles. They seem to manipulate space itself. Walker joined her. The predecessors discovered that reality is more flexible than we realize. Their weapons fold space, creating overlapping fields that disrupt matter. And you know this how? Ford asked skeptically. Walker touched a panel, which lit up with diagrams. The ship shows me. The knowledge is flowing into me. Every hour I understand more. That night, as the research teams worked frantically to understand the Nemesis, Walker stood alone on an observation deck. The stars looked different to him now. He could see patterns, movements, the flow of space itself. Miller found him there. James, she said softly. Are you still you? He turned to her, his glowing eyes soft in the darkness. Yes and no. I'm still James Walker. But I'm also something more now. The ship needs a human mind to guide it, but the connection goes both ways. Are you in pain? She asked. No, he said. Just changing, becoming what's needed. An alarm suddenly blared throughout the base. Over the speakers, Admiral Wilson's voice boomed. All personnel to battle stations. Vorn ships detected entering the system. Walker looked at Miller, his face serious. They came early. They must have detected the Nemesis. But we're not ready, Miller said. The research teams haven't figured out how to use the weapons yet. Walker moved with sudden purpose. They don't need to. I know how. He reached out and took her hand. Come with me. We need to get back to the ship. Chaos filled the halls of Titan Base as they raced back to the landing bay. Marcus and Tom joined them halfway, along with Dave Smith, who refused to be left behind. Admiral Wilson says 5 Vorn battlecruisers just appeared, Marcus reported as they ran. Biggest attack force we've seen yet. They reached the shuttle just as the first explosions rocked the base. Vorn weapons hitting the outer defenses. Will we make it to the Nemesis in time? Tom asked as they strapped in. Walker's eyes glowed brighter. The ship is already responding. It's coming to us. Outside the base, the massive form of the Nemesis moved into position above them. As the shuttle launched, the base's defenses began to fall under the Vorn assault. Look, Miller pointed as they approached the Nemesis. Around the ancient ship, a shield of blue energy had formed. As they watched, Vorn weapons fire hit the shield and simply disappeared, absorbed completely. Walker smiled as they docked with the waiting ship. The Nemesis has awakened fully now, and it remembers its old enemy. As they rushed to the control room, the ship's systems were already active, displays showing the positions of the Vorn vessels. Walker took his place in the command chair, the blue lines on his skin glowing in response. Now we show the Vorn what they should truly fear. The Nemesis moved forward, directly toward the Vorn fleet, ready for its first battle in 100,000 years. The 5 Vorn battlecruisers moved in perfect formation, their black angular shapes looking like claws against the stars. Each one was 3 times larger than the biggest human warship. Together, they had enough firepower to destroy Titan Base in minutes. Inside the Nemesis, Captain Walker felt strangely calm. The blue lines under his skin pulsed with energy as he sat in the command chair. Around him, his crew watched with a mixture of hope and fear. Captain, what's the plan? Marcus asked, his hand resting on a console. We can't outrun 5 battlecruisers. Walker smiled slightly. We're not running. He closed his eyes, connecting more deeply with the ship. The Nemesis remembers the Vorn. It knows their weaknesses. But sir, Tom said, these are modern Vorn ships. They've evolved over thousands of years since this ship last fought them. Their technology has changed, Walker agreed, his eyes still closed. But their core design principles haven't. The Vorn never truly innovate. They only improve what already works. On the main display, they watched as the Vorn ships launched their first attack. Streams of energy weapons fired directly at the Nemesis. Miller gasped. Those are planet killers. But when the weapons hit the blue shield surrounding the Nemesis, something strange happened. Instead of exploding or being deflected, the energy simply disappeared, absorbed into the shield. The ship is feeding on their attacks, Walker explained, his voice now carrying a slight echo. Converting their energy to strengthen our shields. The Vorn ships paused their attack, clearly confused by the lack of impact. Now, Walker said, his eyes snapping open, glowing bright blue, we show them what they're really facing. The Nemesis moved forward with sudden speed. No visible engines fired, no sound of acceleration. It simply moved as if space itself was bending around it. Targeting systems online, Walker announced, though he wasn't touching any controls. The ship responded directly to his thoughts. From the smooth hull of the Nemesis, sections shifted and transformed, revealing weapons unlike anything the humans had seen before. They didn't look like conventional guns or missile launchers, more like focused points where space itself seemed to warp and distort. Primary weapons charging, Walker said. Targeting lead Vorn vessel. The air in the command center crackled with energy. Outside, the space around one of the Nemesis's weapon points began to ripple and fold. Fire, Walker commanded. There was no visible beam, no projectile, just a ripple in space that spread from the Nemesis to the lead Vorn ship. When it reached the enemy vessel, reality itself seemed to fold around it. The massive battlecruiser twisted, parts of it overlapping with other parts, matter passing through matter in ways that shouldn't be possible. Then, as quickly as it began, the effect ended, and where the mighty Vorn ship had been, only floating debris remained. How? Tom whispered, staring at the display in shock. What just happened? Space folding, Walker explained. The weapon doesn't destroy the target. It briefly changes the rules of reality around it, allowing matter to occupy the same space. When reality snaps back to normal, everything tears itself apart. Miller finished, her scientific mind grasping the concept. The remaining Vorn ships reacted instantly, breaking formation and launching every weapon they had. The Nemesis moved with impossible grace, dodging some attacks while absorbing others into its shields. "They're afraid," Walker said, sounding surprised. "I can feel it through the ship's sensors. The Vorn, they recognize this ship somehow." "How could they?" Marcus asked. "This ship is 100,000 years old." "Racial memory," Miller suggested. "Some species retain instinctive fears across generations. The Vorn must have stories, legends about ships like this one." Walker nodded. "Yes, the ship is showing me. The Vorn have stories of the 7 nightmares, ships that could not be destroyed, that bent reality itself. The ancestors of these Vorn fled from them long ago. And now their nightmare has returned," Tom said. Walker targeted the next Vorn vessel. This time, the weapon effect was different. A pulse that spread across the enemy ship, causing its own weapons to activate and fire inward. A third ship tried to escape, but the Nemesis created a field around it that seemed to slow time itself, freezing the Vorn vessel in place while the deadly weapons did their work. In less than 10 minutes, all 5 Vorn battlecruisers were destroyed. The Nemesis floated unharmed amid the debris. Inside the command center, Walker relaxed his grip on the chair arms. The blue glow in his eyes dimmed slightly. "Titan Base is safe," he said. "For now." News of the victory spread quickly throughout human space. For the first time since the war began, humanity had won a major battle against the Vorn. Admiral Wilson immediately called Walker back to the base for a full debriefing. "One ship," Wilson said, looking at the sensor records of the battle. "One ancient ship destroyed 5 Vorn battlecruisers without taking damage." He looked at Walker with a mixture of respect and concern. "And you controlled it all?" Walker nodded. "The ship works through me. We're connected now." Wilson leaned forward. "Captain, our scientists want to study this connection. They believe we might be able to replicate it, create interfaces for our own ships based on the same technology." "That won't work," Walker said firmly. "The Nemesis isn't just technology. It's partly alive, partly sentient. The connection is biological, not just mechanical." Wilson frowned. "Are you refusing a direct order, Captain?" Walker's eyes glowed brighter for a moment. "I'm telling you what's possible and what isn't. The Nemesis chose me. It won't accept being taken apart or studied in ways that might damage it." As if to emphasize his point, the lights in the room flickered. Outside, visible through the window, the massive form of the Nemesis shifted slightly in orbit. Wilson paled. "Is it listening to us?" "Always," Walker said simply. "It's protective." Miller, who had been silent until now, stepped forward. "Admiral, I've been studying the data the ship has shared with Captain Walker. There's something you need to know." "What?" Wilson asked. "The Nemesis isn't unique," she said. "It's one of 7 ships created by the predecessors, 7 super warships designed specifically to counter foreign technology." Walker nodded. "And the ship has shown me where the others might be found. Still dormant, waiting for pilots." Wilson's eyes widened as he realized the implications. 7 ships like this one could end the war, Walker finished. Not just win battles, but end the threat completely. Wilson stood up, his decision made. "I'm calling an emergency meeting of Earth Command. Captain, you and your crew will present this information directly to them." As they left the room, Miller moved closer to Walker. "James," she said quietly, "there's something you're not telling the Admiral, isn't there?" Walker looked at her, his glowing eyes sad. "Yes, the ship has been showing me more about its creators, the predecessors. They didn't just disappear after defeating the ancient Vorn. What happened to them?" "The bonding process," Walker said, touching the blue lines on his skin. It changes the pilot over time, makes them something more than human. He looked away. The predecessors didn't die out. They evolved into something else entirely. And that's happening to you too? Miller asked, her voice concerned. Walker nodded slowly. Yes. But right now, humanity needs the Nemesis and its weapons. That's more important than what happens to me. As they walked toward the waiting shuttle, Walker could feel the Nemesis in orbit above them, watchful, powerful, and ancient beyond human understanding. The meeting room on Earth's last secure military base was filled with the highest-ranking officers left in the human forces. All eyes were on Captain Walker as he stood before them, the blue lines under his skin glowing softly in the dim light. 7 ships, General Harris said, his voice echoing in the quiet room. You're telling us there are 6 more ships like the Nemesis out there? Walker nodded. Yes, General. The predecessors built 7 super warships to fight the ancient Vorn. After their victory, they hid the ships throughout different star systems. Admiral Wilson, who had traveled from Titan with Walker, stood up. We've all seen the footage. 1 ship destroyed 5 Vorn battlecruisers without taking damage. Imagine what we could do with 7. If they exist, said General Ross, always the skeptic. And if we can find them. And if they still work after 100,000 years. Walker touched a control panel, and a star map appeared above the table. 6 points of light pulsed on the map. These are the locations, Walker said. The Nemesis has shown them to me. And yes, the ships will still work. They were designed to survive for millions of years if necessary. How do we activate them? Asked Admiral Wilson. Do they all need pilots like you? Walker nodded, the blue lines on his face pulsing slightly. Yes, the ships bond with their pilots. It's the only way they can be fully controlled. And the changes you've experienced? General Harris asked, gesturing to Walker's altered appearance. Will that happen to all the pilots? Walker hesitated before answering. Yes, the bonding process changes the pilot physically. It's necessary for full control of the ships. Dr. Miller, standing beside Walker, spoke up. Our tests show that not everyone is compatible with the neural interface. We need people with specific brain patterns. We've identified 6 potential pilots from across our remaining forces, Walker added. People the Nemesis believes will be compatible with the other ships. General Harris looked troubled. And these people, have they volunteered for this transformation? They will, Walker said confidently, when they understand what's at stake. 2 days later, 6 teams were assembled. Each team was led by one of the potential pilots, along with a small crew of specialists. Captain Walker briefed them in the hangar bay of the Nemesis, which now orbited Earth. Each team will take a scout ship to one of the coordinates, Walker explained. The Nemesis has provided each ship with a special beacon that should activate the dormant vessels from a distance. Jack Turner, a young pilot with a reputation for taking risks, looked at the star map. Some of these locations are deep in Vorn territory. Yes, Walker nodded. That's why we're launching all missions simultaneously. The Nemesis and I will take the most dangerous location, here, near what we believe is the Vorn homeworld. While we distract their main fleet, the rest of you will have a better chance. And once we find these ships, asked Linda Hayes, another chosen pilot, how do we bond with them? Walker looked at her steadily. The ship will show you, just as the Nemesis showed me. Tom Reed, who had been with Walker since the beginning, approached him after the briefing. Sir, shouldn't I go with you? Walker shook his head. No, Tom. I need you to lead Team 3. Your engineering skills will be crucial if your ship has been damaged. But sir, the Nemesis and I will be fine, Walker assured him. We understand each other now. As the teams prepared to depart, Miller found Walker alone, looking out at Earth from a viewport. You didn't tell them everything, she said quietly, about what happens to the pilots in the end. Walker's glowing eyes reflected in the glass. They'll learn when they're ready, just as I'm learning. And what are you learning, James? He turned to her, his face serious. That the predecessors didn't just defeat the Vorn. They found a way to evolve beyond physical form. The ships were their final gift before they transcended, became something else, something beyond flesh and matter. Walker touched the blue lines on his face. This is just the beginning of the process. Miller's eyes widened. So the bonding doesn't just change you physically, it's changing what you are. Yes, but that's for later. Right now, humanity needs these ships, and they need pilots willing to make the sacrifice. The 6 teams launched the next day, each heading to a different corner of space. Walker and the Nemesis took the most direct route, straight toward Vorn territory. As predicted, the Vorn detected the Nemesis almost immediately. A massive fleet, over 50 ships, moved to intercept. It was exactly what Walker wanted. With the Vorn focused on the known threat, the other teams would have a better chance of completing their missions undetected. The Nemesis moved with confidence through space, heading directly toward the Vorn fleet. They've spotted us, Walker said to himself in the empty command center. He no longer needed a crew to operate the ship. The connection between them had grown too deep, too complete. The Vorn fleet commander, an experienced warrior named Drex, watched the approach of the human ship with growing fear. He had seen the reports from the Titan battle, one ship destroying 5 battlecruisers. Such a thing should be impossible. All ships, prepare main weapons, Drex ordered. Concentrate all fire on the human vessel. The Vorn ships formed a battle wall, their weapons charging. From the Nemesis, Walker could sense their fear, their uncertainty. The ancient memory of the 7 nightmares lived in their collective consciousness. Let's remind them why they fear us, Walker said, directing the Nemesis to activate its most powerful weapons. What followed was unlike any battle in the war so far. The Nemesis danced through space, its reality-bending weapons tearing holes in the Vorn formation. Every time the Vorn adapted their tactics, Walker and the ship changed their approach. But even the mighty Nemesis couldn't fight an entire fleet alone. After destroying 12 Vorn ships, Walker detected a new energy signature, a trap designed specifically for the Nemesis. Clever, he murmured as the trap activated, creating a field that disrupted the ship's space-folding abilities. For the first time, the Nemesis took damage. Alarms sounded throughout the ship as systems struggled to compensate. Walker didn't panic. He closed his eyes, connecting more deeply with the ship than ever before. "Show me," he whispered. "Show me what you can really do." Deep in the ship's systems, emergency protocols activated. The blue lines on Walker's skin spread further, covering more of his body. Pain shot through him as the bond deepened, but he embraced it. Outside, the Nemesis began to change. Its hull shifted, becoming something new, a form it had not taken in 100,000 years. The trap field flickered and failed as the ship transcended its limitations. Walker screamed in pain and triumph as the transformation completed. The Vorn fleet commander watched in horror as the human ship transformed into something from his people's oldest nightmares, the true form of the Devourer of Stars. "Retreat," Drex ordered. "All ships, emergency jump." But it was too late for many of them. The transformed Nemesis unleashed its full power, tearing reality apart around 20 more Vorn ships. When it was over, Walker lay slumped in the command chair, barely conscious. The blue lines now covered his entire body, pulsing with energy. "Worth it," he whispered as the ship automatically set course away from the battle. Hope the others made it. Across space, 4 of the 6 teams had succeeded in finding and activating their ships. 4 more super warships now had human pilots beginning their own transformations. The war had entered a new phase. 2 weeks after the missions to find the ancient ships, 5 of the 7 predecessor vessels gathered in orbit around Earth's moon. They formed a perfect circle, each ship massive against the stars, their hulls gleaming with power. On Earth below, people gathered outside to look up at the night sky. For the first time since the war began 3 years ago, they felt hope. The ships were visible even to the naked eye. 5 new stars that didn't move with the others. Admiral Wilson stood in the command center of Earth's defense station, watching the ships on the main screen. "Has anyone heard from Captain Walker?" he asked. Dr. Miller, who had become the main scientist studying the predecessor ships, shook her head. "Not since the battle at the Vorn homeworld. The Nemesis took heavy damage. It might still be repairing itself." "And the pilots of the other ships?" Wilson asked. "How are they? Progressing?" Miller knew what he meant. The transformation. All 4 are showing signs similar to Walker's. The blue lines, the connection to their ships. They report being able to feel their vessels rather than just control them. The door opened, and General Harris entered with a grim expression. "We have a problem. Our long-range sensors have detected massive Vorn fleet movements. They're gathering every ship they have. Thousands of vessels, heading straight for Earth." Wilson's face paled. "How long do we have?" 3 days, maybe 4. "Can our ships stop them?" Wilson asked, looking at the 5 predecessor vessels on the screen. "I don't know," Miller admitted. "We have 5 of the 7 ships, but the pilots are still learning how to use them. Without Walker and the Nemesis." An alarm suddenly sounded. A technician called out, "Sir, unknown ship dropping out of faster-than-light travel near Jupiter." Everyone turned to the screen. A massive ship appeared, larger than any of the others. Its hull changed from when they last saw it. No longer smooth, but covered with patterns that glowed blue against the darkness of space. "The Nemesis," Miller whispered. Walker was barely recognizable when they brought him to the command center. His entire body was covered in blue lines, and his eyes glowed like stars. When he moved, it seemed as if he wasn't quite solid anymore. "Captain Walker?" Admiral Wilson asked hesitantly. Walker turned to him, his movements strangely fluid. "Yes and no. I am still James Walker, but I am also something more now." "The ship?" Miller asked. "You've bonded completely with it." Walker nodded. "The battle near the Vorn homeworld damaged us badly. To survive, we had to complete the transformation earlier than expected." He looked at the display showing the approaching Vorn fleet. "But we are ready now. And we bring knowledge." "What knowledge?" General Harris asked. "The true purpose of the 7, Walker said. "They were never meant to be just weapons of war. The predecessors built them as tools of transformation, both for themselves and for their enemies." Miller's scientific mind raced ahead. "You mean they can affect the Vorn somehow, beyond just destroying them?" "Yes. When all 7 ships unite, they can create a field that rewrites the aggressive programming in Vorn genetics, the same modification the predecessors used to end their ancient war." Wilson looked skeptical. "You mean to tell me these ships can change the Vorn's basic nature? Make them peaceful?" "Not peaceful," Walker corrected. "Just free to choose. The Vorn are trapped by their genetic programming, forced to conquer, to destroy. The predecessors found a way to free them from that compulsion." "But we only have 5 ships," Harris pointed out. "You said we need all 7. Walker smiled slightly. "The 6th ship is on its way. Linda Hayes found it near the edge of our galaxy. And the 7th, he paused. "The 7th was never lost. It's hidden inside the Nemesis itself, a ship within a ship, waiting for the right moment." The next 3 days were a blur of preparation. The 5 predecessor ships moved into formation around Earth, ready to make their stand. The pilots of the ships, Jack Turner, Tom Reed, Linda Hayes, and Michael Chen, gathered with Walker one last time before the battle. All of them showed signs of transformation, though none as advanced as Walker's. "When the Vorn arrive," Walker explained, "our ships must form the 7-point circle. Only then can we activate the transformation field." "Will it hurt them?" Tom asked. "No," Walker said. "It will free them." Linda looked at Walker's transformed body. "And us? What happens to us after?" Walker's glowing eyes softened. "The predecessors transcended physical form. They became energy, consciousness without bodies. That is the final stage of our bonding with the ships. So we won't be human anymore, Michael said quietly. We will be more than human, Walker corrected. But that choice is still yours. You can break the bond after the battle, return to your human forms. It will damage the ships, but they will repair eventually. They looked at each other. These 5 humans who had accepted the burden of piloting the most powerful ships ever created. Let's win this war first, Tom said. Then we can decide. The Vorn fleet arrived exactly as predicted, thousands of ships darkening the space around Earth. At their center was a massive command vessel 10 times the size of any battlecruiser. Aboard it, the Vorn High Commander watched the small group of human ships with a mixture of hate and fear. The 7 predecessor ships, the Nemesis now separated into 2 vessels, formed a perfect circle facing the Vorn Armada. All ships, prepare for Unity connection. Walker's voice echoed across all 7 vessels. The pilots closed their eyes, reaching out with their minds. The ships began to glow, blue energy connecting them in a perfect circle. From the Vorn fleet, weapons fired, thousands of energy beams heading toward Earth. But before they could hit, a shield formed between the 7 ships, a dome of blue light that covered the entire planet. Every weapon the Vorn fired was absorbed, making the shield stronger. Now, Walker said, his voice no longer sounding entirely human. The 7 ships pulsed as one. A wave of energy expanded outward, passing harmlessly through human ships, but enveloping the entire Vorn fleet. Where it touched, Vorn ships stopped firing. Vorn minds, programmed for countless generations to conquer and destroy, suddenly found themselves free to choose. On the Vorn command ship, the High Commander felt something changing inside him. The driving hunger for conquest that had defined his entire existence began to fade, replaced by choice. The battle ended not with destruction, but with silence. Thousands of Vorn ships hung in space, no longer firing, no longer advancing. From the Vorn command ship came a transmission, the first peaceful communication ever sent from Vorn to humans. We would speak with you, the High Commander said, his voice uncertain. About peace. 1 month later, human and Vorn representatives signed the first peace treaty in a ceremony held in orbit above Earth. The 7 predecessor ships floated nearby, watching over the proceedings. After the ceremony, Miller found Walker on the observation deck of the space station. His form was now almost entirely energy, only vaguely human-shaped. "You're leaving, aren't you?" she asked. Walker's glowing form turned to her. "Yes. The others have chosen to stay human, to break their bonds with the ships. But I want to see what's beyond." "Where will you go?" "Where the predecessors went, beyond the physical universe." His energy form brightened slightly. "But the ships will remain, dormant again. Guardians to be awakened if they're ever needed." Miller reached out, her hand passing through his energy form. "Will we ever see you again?" "Perhaps. Time moves differently where I'm going." His form began to fade. "Tell them I said goodbye. And tell them, humanity has a greater destiny than they can imagine." Walker's form dissolved into pure blue energy that floated up and out through the station's viewport. In the distance, the Nemesis glowed with the same blue light, then vanished in a flash that briefly outshone the stars themselves. The remaining 6 ships, now piloted by regular human crews, took up positions around Earth, guardians of the new peace and reminders of what had once been the most feared warships in the galaxy.